Hello guys, today we are going to discuss the generation and conduction of nerve impulses. Generation and conduction of nerve impulses, where it can be generated and where it can be transferred. What is nerve conduction and impulses? Impulses are the electrical charges, how they generated. Okay? Yeah. Here in the neurons, okay, neurons are self-excitable. Self-excitable. Guys, you have to remember nerve cells, neurons and neuron tissue and muscle tissue these only two self-excitable. This is NEET point. Neural tissue and muscle tissue can be self-excitable, but muscle tissue can be contract and neural tissue which is do not contract. This is about NEET point. They are self-excitable and muscles also self-excitable, but muscles tissue they can contract with the motor neuron, motor unit, okay, which is the combination of neuron and muscle. They can contract, and if come to the neural cells, they do not contract, but they can excitable. Okay, they can maintain the membranes are polarized. The membrane is polarized. We will discuss what is polarity and polarized. Do you know why the membrane of neuron is polarized? This is the question for NEET. Why it is the membrane of neuron is polarized? This is the question. The different type of ion channels are there in the membrane. In the membrane, there are different type of ion channels are there present in the neural membrane, and these ion channels are selectively permeable. These ions are selectively permeable. When neuron is not conduct any impulse, that is resting potential. What is resting potential? What is resting potential? Okay, we will going to discuss what is polarized state, what is resting potential, we will going to discuss. Yeah, the axonal membrane is comparatively more permeable potassium. This is important NEET point. The membrane, the neural membrane we can call axonal membrane. Axon, the axon, throughout the axon, the length of the axon, the membrane we can call axonal membrane, that is permeable for the potassium, that is more permeable to the potassium. Okay? Yes, and they are nearly impermeable to the sodium. They are nearly impermeable to the sodium. They are permeable to the potassium, impermeable to the sodium. Okay? Yes, and similarly the membranable negatively charged. Okay? Finally, the membrane is negatively charged because of sodium ions are the plus ions, they do not allow inside the membrane. Potassium is more permeable, that is plus ions, they can exit out from the membrane. In this way, there is a polarized state, which is the state the more negativity is there up to the minus 70 millivolts. This is about the polarized state of the neural membrane. Okay. We are going to discuss in this way. Okay. Yes. So, guys, just look into this. Look into this. Yeah, this is cell axonal membrane, this is axonal membrane, now cell. Okay. The membrane has channels. More negative ions are there outside the membrane, positive ions are outside the membrane, sodium ions. Inside there is a potassium ions are more. Okay. Just look into this. Yeah. Neurons are self-excitable because of their membrane is polarized state. Okay. This membrane is polarized state. This is the polarized state, here resting potential. Resting potential, this condition is going to happen. We will going to discuss. Yeah. Why? You know, the membrane of the neuron is polarized, and the different types of ion channels are present in this membrane. Different channels mean leakage channel, voltage gated channel, mechanical gated channel, and ligand gated channels are there in the axon. Okay? Yes. And these channels are selectively permeable. The different ions selectively permeable. Selectively permeable. This is almost permeable to the potassium ions, K plus ions. This is the first point. Inside the membrane, there are high amount of potassium ions in the resting potential. This is the second point in the resting potential. Okay? Third point. Yeah. Selectively permeable. When neuron is not conduction, mean in the resting potential, the axonal membrane is comparatively more permeable to the potassium ion, nearly impermeable to the sodium ion. Similarly, the membrane is impermeable negatively charged proteins and exoplasm. Yeah. So, this is most permeable to the potassium ion and nearly impermeable to the sodium. And third point, in the resting potential, they do not allow negatively ions outsides negatively ions leave the cells. Leave the cell. Just look into here. This is sodium ion outside the cell membrane, sodium ion, potassium ion inside the cell membrane, There is a channel which is leakage gated channel. The potassium is allowed to going out. The potassium is allowed to going out. Sodium almost impermeable to the enter in. This is active transport. Active transport. In this condition, potassium is trying to exit out mostly and sodium is enter in very less, and negative ions are also, they do not allow going out. Do not allow going out. In this condition, if the potassium is exit out, this is the resting potential is maintained minus 70 millivolts. Resting potential is maintained minus 70 millivolts. Okay? These are the conditions where the selectively permeable, this membrane, axonal membrane, selectively permeable, that is potassium ion is permeable. There are number of potassium ion inside the cells. Outside the cell there are sodium ions are there. So, inside the cell the potassium ions are permeable to go out and sodium ion almost impermeable to enter inside of the cell, and there is negative ions like proteins inside the cells, they do not allow going out, leave the cell. That is the reason in the resting potential huge negativity is there in the polarized state, where in the resting potential mean there is no now conduction impulse, there is no impulse, there is no impulse going to take place in the resting potential. Okay? Yeah, and this is the scenario where the nerve conduction and impulses is started. This is the leakage gated channel. Leakage gated channel. Yeah. Yeah. Consequently, the axoplasm inside the axon contain high concentration of potassium and negatively charged or high, there is a negative proteins, low concentration of Na, low concentration of Na. In this condition, the fluid outside the axon contain low concentration of potassium, high concentration of sodium, and thus the form concentration gradients between two mediums which is outside the cell, inside the cell. These ionic gradients across the resting membrane are maintained by the active transport ions by the sodium potassium pump. Sodium potassium pump nothing but it is the active transport. Sodium potassium pump is active transport sodium potassium pump is the active transport. Yeah. Which transport of Na outside and for potassium into the cell. Yeah. By the sodium potassium pump, which is transport of 3 sodium outward and 2 potassium inside. Okay. That is the transfer of sodium potassium pump, and as a result the outer surface axonal membrane possesses to positive charge while inner surface to become negatively charged, and therefore it is a polarized. Okay. They can transfer the signals. The electrical potential difference across the resting plasma membrane is called resting potential. What is resting potential? Across axonal membrane there is a difference between two areas called resting potential, which is always maintain negative charge. They always maintain negative charge, resting potential. Okay. Yes. Now generation and conduction of now impulses, how the polarized state minus 70 millivolts maintain. This is the most important for NEET. Reason, NEET it is most important for NEET. What is the reason for the resting potential maintained? This most important. First, potentiogenic pump. First reason, potentiogenic pump, which is active transport, potentiogenic pump is the active transport, and negative ions and negatively proteins are unable to leave the cell. This is second reason, most important reason. Inside the cells there is a negative ions and negative proteins, they are unable to allow leave, okay, leave the cell. Okay. Potassium is most abundant intercellular fluid. This is the important NCERT point NEET. Potassium is most abundant intracellular fluid. In the intracellular fluid there is a potassium ions are more, okay, and membrane at rest is more permeable to the potassium. This is important for NEET. Membrane at rest is more permeable to the potassium. This is important. These points are exclusively NEET. Most important for NEET, star mark. Okay. There may be question from this, like reasons why the polarized state maintain minus 70 negative charge. Okay. millioles. Yes. And next, yeah, types of channels in the membrane. Types of channels in the membrane. First, leakage channels, voltage gated channel, and mechanically gated channel, ligand gated channel. These are the channels are there membrane of the axonal membrane. Types of channels on cell membrane. What are the channels? Leaky channels and voltage gated channel, mechanically gated channel and ligand gated channel. Nothing but, do not confuse. This is the cell membrane, axonal membrane. Axonal membrane, first leakage channel, this is the channel, leakage channel mean sodium potassium pump. Leakage channel, and this is like mechanically gated channel and ligand gated channel. This is mechanical gated channel. This is voltage gated channel. This is ligand gated channel. Or chemically gated channel. Chemically gated channel. So, mechanically gated channel open when mechanically action take place. Open when mechanical pressure going to take place. Voltage gated channel, if any changes of electrical charge ligand gated channel, they can open in the presence of chemical here we can call neurotransmitter that is acetylcholine. ACH is the neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine. Sodium potassium leaky channel, these are the leaky channel. These are the channels around the axonal membrane, they involve in the nerve conduction and impulses. Okay, I hope you guys understood this. Yeah. Here I am going to read before explain mechanism. Okay. Mechanism: generation of nerve impulses and its conduction is along with axon membrane. Along with axon membrane. Okay. When stimulus is applied at site A, mean there is a axon, there are sites A, B, C. Okay. We are going to discuss about the nerve conduction and impulses. This is the axon, cell body of axon. Okay. Yeah, this is the membrane, as segment, A segment, B segment and C segment. This is the axon. There is a now conduction and impulses going to take place at membrane nearby the axonal membrane. There is a signals are going to now conduction impulses going to take place through the nearby the membrane. Okay. We are going to discuss about it. I am not appearing this part here. Going to write again. Okay. This is the neuron, this is telodendrite, this is A segment, this is B segment, this is C segment. Now conduction is going to take place nearby membrane. First, what happened here? Okay. The resting potential maintain -70 MV. This segment throughout the axon -70 MV. The resting potential is going to take place -70 MV. If any changes is going to take place, these changes are going to take place. Okay. Yeah, this is about the now impulse and conduction. We are going to discuss this now impulses conduction in the coming class. This is the important topic, and this is like polarized state, how they can polarized state, how excitable, we are going to discuss how excitable, what are the wavelength, what type of signals passed, mean pattern, and what are the channels involved, what are the channels involved, and what are the chemical use, what is the chemical involved in this now conduction. Okay. These are the most important, the conditions which is the questions which is important for the now conduction and impulses. We are going to discuss, this is the huge class and a difficulty to understand the polarized state comes to the excitable and transfer the signals. Okay. This is the most important we are going to discuss in the coming class. Thank you.